All right, welcome everyone back to the Black Brain Trust. This is episode 86, Black Car Talk, the state of the car industry and what's your next ride. I'm here with my co-facilitator, Lionel.
Hello, everyone.
What's going on, brother?
Not much yourself. How you doing?
Chilling, man, chilling. So, this is our first installment of basically car dialogue, electric vehicles, scooters, and transportation, um, autonomous vehicles, artificial intelligence in vehicles, as well as basically what's your next ride? What are you looking at in the next year? What do you currently drive? Things of that nature. So without further ado, um, we'll get started. Hey, C Boogie, what's going on? Salute to you.
What's going on? See, boogie,
Yeah.
boogie.
Hey, C Boogie, if you want to get on the panel as well, not sure if you got the link, but if you don't have the link, we can send it to you. So I just wanted to go over this first article, which is the New York Times, and this is an interview with GM CEO Mary Barra, who says that GM is on track to roll out autonomous vehicles next year. Um, okay, I won't read the whole article, but I'll go over the first paragraph. Uh, Mary T. Barra, the chief executive of General Motors, said that the company is on track to roll out a ride-sharing service in 2019 that will rely on autonomous vehicles, a development that would advance the already heated race to bring self-driving cars to the market. We're on track with our rate of learning to be able to do the next to be able to do that next year. Ms. Barra said at Deal Books Playing for the long-term conference. She added that the company had a strategy to show how its vehicles are safer than human drivers. The vehicles can currently run safely at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour, and service will be limited to a small geographical area, Ms. Barra said. So basically, what's going on right now is everybody, in terms of the car manufacturers, the brands, are racing to get their vehicles first on the market for it to be autonomous. And to be autonomous means that you're level five capable. It goes from level one, level two, level three, level four, level five. Most cars today that come from Tesla or come from BMW or any of your major brands have some form of level four technology or level three technology. So level two, level one, level two is like cruise control. But level three would be the ability to um, would be the ability to have like blind spot capabilities as well as keep your car in the margins uh, based on your surroundings, right? So you don't have any like backup sensors on the car. That would be level three. Um, Level four would be the capability of the car of you taking your hands off the wheel and the car can actually park itself. And then level five would just be completely autonomous, where you take your hands off the wheel and the car can actually go for miles and miles and miles without you having any human interaction. So what GM is talking about right now, what Mary Barra is saying right now, is that um, they're ready by quarter one next year. They're ready to go. They already have their autonomous car division, which is called Cruise, and I believe that's a partnership with Honda. Honda actually made some investments into this, as well as Soft Group or SoftBank, sorry, worth $14 billion. Their vehicles are just about comparable to. Well, I shouldn't say it's comparable because I don't think there's anything else on the market that can do what it does outside of Waymo. Waymo is a actual company that focuses on the driver stack, and the driver stack is the autonomous capabilities of a vehicle. But Waymo doesn't actually create the vehicle; they create the driver stack for the vehicle. Now you compare that to GM. GM makes the vehicle plus the driver stack plus they determine whether or not it's going to be EV or full gas or a hybrid for that matter. So GM is a lot more invested into this than the competition of Waymo. I know you have anything on that.
I have a question. For level 5 driving, will it will those vehicles have steering wheels?
They by law they have to have a steering wheel, but I think in the future you just won't have a steering wheel.
Okay. Okay. Um, she did mention where in the article where their autonomous vehicles will be on a subscription base also. Thought that was pretty nice. I agree with you through the articles we've been reading on past shows, especially on our space and technology show, that you see this collective effort from car companies such as GM, such as Ford, and others pushing to have this autonomous to have autonomous vehicles in their car fleet. Even Ford is canceling some of their cars, such as the Taurus, and a few, one or two more cars to put autonomous vehicles in their fleet. Autonomous driving is, I still think, is considered something of the future by the masses, but reading these articles, it is within the next 2 years. It's going to come out of nowhere.
Hmm. Yeah, and a lot of people who work for Lyft and Uber and these gypsy cab companies, your job's in jeopardy. You got about 9 months to get together to figure it out because once these vehicles get on the road, they're not going back onto the assembly line.
Right.
They're on the road for good.
Yeah.
So if you work for
Go ahead.
yeah, if you work for any of these right, if you work for any of these ride sharing companies and you're relying on that as an income, you will be sorely you will be SOL in the next year.
hmm hmm And people use these ride sharing companies such as Uber and Lyft to make ends meet. If they short on funds, they do that real quick. And I've even heard stories of, not stories, reports of Uber just implementing autonomous vehicles into their fleets, and that will cut severely down on um, uh, people being able to drive for Uber and Lyft. Now, the only people I think that will have a delayed effect by the autonomous vehicles are the wave drivers on wheelchair accessible vehicles that drive for Uber and Lyft, because they have to lock down the wheelchair or the walker, so and help the people get into the vehicle. So there may be some more life left in that area, but for the people that are just picking up and dropping off, a lot of them people, I agree with you, will be affected.
Hmm. Well, let's take it one step further. Let's say um, you see, because this opens up another market. You have companies like Braun, I think that's their name, that does the wheelchair access based vans. You
Hmm
might see these caravans or these Chrysler town and country vans where the side door, the whole entire car is raised and modified in a way that it
Right.
allows for handicap access.
hmm hmm
This opens up this opens up another market for them to purchase these autonomous vehicles and actually modify the vehicle so that it does have full autonomous capabilities where a person who may be physically challenged doesn't need a human to help them lock it down. They can actually, you know, have a winch on the inside of the vehicle that hooks on to the chair itself and pulls it right in, puts four locks around the wheels, and then closes the hatch on the rear. It then takes off to the next destination. That's going to open up a whole new market, a whole multi-million-dollar market for itself. So
Now with
I agree with
Braun,
you that it.
oh, go
Yeah.
ahead. Now with
No, go ahead.
Braun, what they do, they only make the ramps and the lifts. They don't necessarily have a fleet. There are third party companies. One such as Mobility Works, where they purchase the most popular is the Dodge Grand Caravan. They purchased, but still minivans, where they can input put these ramps in, and they're hidden. They're either folded up or hidden in the floor. So when a door opens, it just comes out from under the floor, and it's autonomous. That does have capabilities. Um, just I just think there will be a little more life in that section, in that sector of ride sharing. I'm not saying it'll be a long life, because after a while they'll be affected, but it'll be it'll give people who are driving for these companies, Uber and Lyft, a little bit of an extension. Once they see that they're cutting down on people driving for them, then they can go and do that just to figure out what they're going to do next. And also Pace, Chicago, there's Pace Paratransit. They use nothing but Dodge Grand Caravans. You see them all over the street, and they for people with they specifically for people with disabilities. Um,
Hmm.
Pick them up, drop them off. They all over the city, and people drive those. People actually drive those. Now, everyone with a disability is not in a wheelchair. Some people may have a little arthritis in their knee, some gout, things that prevent them from being on their feet all day long. So they have this ride sharing service. But those people can be out of service, out of work, and it's well known that people that drive for these ride sharing disability businesses, it's an easy job to get into. It's quick, it's like a revolving door,
Yeah, yeah. I see that market picking up in the next year.
hmm
If you're not making an investments, you should be making investments into these companies right now, or at least into the supply chain itself. Who makes the ramps, who makes the struts and stuff like that for those vehicles. Definitely a market for that.
Yes, I agree.
Big market. What's going on, Jack?
What's going on, Jack? How you doing?
I don't know. I think he got the link. If he wants to get on, he can get on. Yeah, but once see, GM is saying 2019, right? So for your subcompact vehicles, your consumer-based vehicles like the Chrysler, not the Chrysler, but their subcompact and full sedan vehicles.
hmm
Um, yeah, you're gonna see those for now, but what's going to happen in the next 9 months, or not 9 months, but next 2 years? Because 2020 was the prediction for the year that it would, these vehicles will come on the road, full market scale. After 2020, maybe I'm saying 2020 to 2025, you're gonna see semi trucks, um, U-Hauls, Penske trucks start to pick up some of this technology as well.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, you'll see a lot more. We'll guarantee see it by 2025. It'll be all over the streets. Well, they'll be all over the streets. And the years we're talking
Yeah,
about,
you
go uh-huh.
no, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
The year, the years we're talking about within the next few years. What about 3 years from the next few years? That will be real. That will really be over the road. And so a lot of people are in for a surprise.
Well, we've been warning people about this stuff for since we started the Brain Trust, and people said that, oh, that's not going to happen. You don't know what you're talking about. But here we are right now, the CEO of GM coming out and saying 2019 is a go year.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, you want to argue against that. That's facts.
right. Um, and people still are not going to believe it, even when it comes on, because it's going to come out of nowhere for a lot of people. Um, a lot of people are going to be out of work, out of jobs, which
Well,
is
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, I was just going to say that they've been talking about 2020 being the year of artificial intelligence, automation taking away 600 to 800,000 jobs in the United States alone. What are you going to do about that?
That's significant, and I believe those figures are conservative
Hmm.
because a lot of these people that do these type of driving jobs, they don't do it long term. They don't do it full time. Some do it part time, but some do it just to get a little extra cash on the side. The Uber Eat, things like that. And on top of that, people purchase vehicles through the Uber partnership, where you purchase a vehicle and once you drive for Uber, you got some steady income to pay for the vehicle. So they're going to be SOL.
Yeah, you're gonna be driving that vehicle to your to the wheels fall off,
Yeah.
basically.
And and just think about this. What we talked about yesterday, the recession coming, this AI coming, they're going to be taking lower tier jobs such as call center jobs. The snowball is starting to be tipped more and more over the edge of the cliff. We're
Hmm.
seeing it, man. We're seeing it.
Right, and people are denying that this is even happening. This won't affect black people. Absolutely, it would affect black people.
Us first.
Absolutely, it will.
We will be first. We will be first on the chopping block
Yeah,
because a lot of those.
in some form of in some form of in some form of measure, you're gonna see black people affected, because not because black people are the last to be hired and first to be fired, but it hurts people who don't have access to transportation, so they can't afford to buy a car, and those who rely on Uber and Lyft. Because I know a lot of black people who use Lyft as a main job. That's all they do.
Yeah,
They're out there for 14 hours a day doing Uber and Lyft. If you
and
don't have a
even
game plan after 2020, you're screwed.
and even then they working these long jobs, sitting down, driving people. That's and they're still not making it. If you understand what I'm saying, but you can't not criticize them, but get them to understand. Like, hey, man, you should think about doing something else because in their mind, not all, but we see this a lot from people. Well, you can't tell me how I live my life. I'm not. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a resistance. There's a natural resistance and to any information that would be beneficial to them. Um, I'm not seeing autonomous vehicles being developed here yet in Massachusetts or New England area for that matter. But it seems like California, Arizona,
Mm.
um,
Really,
what's the third state? I think Florida might be another state too.
we even heard, yeah, on Miami, we even heard where taxis, which Uber and Lyft is under that delivery, limousine and livery, are autonomous vehicles going to be autonomous taxis are going to be implemented in Washington D.C. also. I remember we read that in one that report in one show. I forgot which one it was, but it's coming, man. It's coming, and I want black people to survive. I want black people to get ahead, but we have this culture of, oh, you can't tell me nothing. This is my life, and they don't understand. Well, I'm not trying to live your life. I'm not trying to make you do things that's not beneficial to you. I'm just trying to give you information, and I can give you the articles, just like you just said. This is coming from the horse's mouth. The horse, the CEO, the C-suite personnel that they are saying they're going to do this, but then they'll say, well, it's not. It's always a rebuttal where, well, I don't see this coming within the next few years. Yes, they're saying it. They are telling you their game plan, and you refuse to believe it. Or uh, I love you, black people. I really do, but get your shit
Mhm,
together, man. Please.
mhm. Yeah, definitely think. Yeah, definitely look at the supply chain. Braun is one company. I think you mentioned another one, Pace.
Yes.
Yep. And then you got Waymo. Waymo does the autonomous vehicle driver stack. So that means that they designed the software that allows the autonomous vehicle to actually operate. So they create the whole entire operating system and software mechanisms that are responsible for autonomous driving. GM with their cruise division, worth $14 billion at the moment. Um, Ford has their own autonomous vehicle division as well. Uh, if I remember, I think Chrysler invested a lot into Waymo. I could be wrong about that, but I know SoftBank has invested a lot into
Mhm.
GM's cruise division, and then they also made some investments into Waymo. And then you
Mm.
factor in Lyft, you factor in Uber. Um, you're starting to see the pieces of the chessboard starting to move around, and these are not pawns; these are bishops moving around.
Right. These are big whales. I mean, even when Tesla, Elon Musk debuted the Roadster, he it was a surprise. He debuted the truck. And we're not saying the trucking industry may have more life available compared to Uber and Lyft drivers, but still, it's there. That product is there, and even though they may have some difficulties implementing an infrastructure for trucks, but what about the short distance drop offs? They're going to find a way to put this into production.
Yeah, and because of regulations, I don't think there's a framework in place for CDL based vehicles. I think that's all still in the early infancy stages of development. So your big 20,000 pound, 28-foot trucks, those vehicles won't be affected anytime soon. You won't see that type of development happen until like 2025 at the very
Hmm.
best. Um, all your 53 footers, your bend the buses, the buses that have extension and they bend when they
Yeah,
turn.
yeah,
You won't see too much development there, but you will see it on the shuttle side, right? So the shuttles that are about 12 to 14 feet, those type of vehicles are going to be made autonomous as well. So
Yeah.
I
Airport.
believe we covered this. Right. I believe we covered this before about University of Michigan, if I remember correctly, has
It
the
sounds familiar.
autonomous shuttle service.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think University of Michigan sound about right. And also, who's going to be invested, not invested, affected is these um, real estate brokers who drive person personnel to look at houses, to look at open houses. They're going to be affected.
Hmm.
What's going on, Jack?
Yeah.
What's going on, brothers? You guys are getting into
Hey,
some
what's going on?
what's going on, like you guys are going to a good topic right now. I spoke to my brother, and he works for Ford, and he's an engineer, and he was explaining to me, um, as far as the cuts, like even after that article came out, a mass email went out to all the employees, and he was just like, okay, he really like trying to see what's gonna happen, and he said like how they're gonna do it is they're gonna focus on they're gonna try to reduce managers, right? So they're gonna have kind of like low level managers are gonna be replaced, are gonna be kicked out, and and then he said low skilled workers. He said they're still gonna keep a majority of them, but it's more the managers they're gonna get rid of because they're gonna realize like they'll be like, hey, he said they're gonna figure out how long you've been here, who's been here the longest, who's been like what's really your job. They're gonna analyze these type of things and let people go. But he even said that like yeah he knows it's coming because they a lot of emails are going out specifically from the CEO. So yeah, so it's gonna happen as far as these cuts. Um, Again, you said something about focus on investments as far as in the supply aspect of it. So why is that vital?
Make money.
Supply chain. Supply chain management matters because you need to know which products and which brands are getting involved in this whole entire segment, right? So, I mean, we know Pirelli and Goodyear and the obvious tire brands, but who's behind the complexities of this whole entire development? Who's making the on ramps for these handicap physically challenged vehicles that are being designed, by Braun. Braun is one brand. That's a well known brand though. Um, who's making the lift gate? Um, who's making the just the technology that goes into these vehicles, right? So who makes the CPUs? Who makes the memory and things like that? All of these things matter in terms of the supply chain. And when you think about the tariffs that's happening on China and the trade war that's happening, uh, a lot of that's going to slow down development, but it's going to allow us, who are watching on the outside, to see um, what's transpiring and where we can make our investments.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because you know it sounds like they're more of the backbone. These little things are of the company. So like how does one find out exactly um what company's doing like what company's supplying this or supplying that? Like how does one definitely find out?
You can look at their usually they have a web page and they'll tell you like who the gold sponsors are, who the platinum sponsors are. Micron is a big memory company out in Idaho, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in the country. Supply chips for memory and cache on processors. And then you think about Intel. Intel is like the number one chip manufacturer in this country. And then you got Texas Instruments, you got AMD, um, in and even Qualcomm. Qualcomm is another one that puts chips inside smartphones and tablets, as well as even some of your smart vehicles.
Hmm. Chips. when it comes to the chips in these cars, a lot of these cars, require some form of software and whatnot. So, how much money is to be made in these companies that acquire the chips, like that create the chips? Like, I know, I'm not sure it's AMD is one of them, but as far as these other companies, what other companies do you recommend? Hold on, is that is a good look?
Well, it's not what I recommend because I'm not a CFP or anything like that. But what I'm saying is look at the supply chain. Nvidia has made big investments into the autonomous vehicle sector, right? So they have a whole chip that's geared towards um, artificial intelligence in the car for driving. So I would definitely be looking at them. They're not going anytime soon. So
That's what's up. And
mhm.
I know they have this already in play in Asia. As far as just autonomous vehicles, um, when do you see it being in full effect? I think you said by 20, you said by 2020, but like I know it's more in major cities, but when you say these offshoot small towns, you think they're gonna be utilized more there, or just more in just like the metro cities?
It depends on the framework of regulations that get adopted. The problem is that a lot of these companies, not none of these companies, but a lot of these cities and states, the municipalities haven't drafted a framework, a proper framework in place, so that they can take on these vehicles and they can actually benefit from them. Right now, everybody's pushing back because everybody's being conservative, right? There's a there's a vested interest in saying no because they don't want to actually invest into infrastructure development, patching roads, getting rid of those potholes and misaligned sewer and manhole covers, things like that all matter. Laying down the new lanes, and the bike lanes as well. That's all important into the development of these autonomous vehicles. So you're going to see some politicians maybe push back, and you're going to see some of the lobbyists for these autonomous vehicles come in and say, hey, we can't put our vehicles on your road because you're not keeping up with the development, the technological development cycle. Technological development cycles anywhere between 3 to 5 years. 2020 is that year, right? So 2015 was the year that you heard about Tesla and its autopilot features, but now we're going into 2020 and you're seeing an explosion of companies like Waymo and uh, GM now and Ford, Lyft and Uber all saying, "Hey, we're ready to go," but what's up with all the red tape?
I hear you. And I know Lionel's more into blockchain. Do you think if there wasn't so much of a shortage of blockchain developers, that do you think Lionel, do you think like that would speed things up, or just because of so much of a shortage, it's slowing things down as well?
This is more of the AI autonomous vehicle mechanic area. If you understand what I'm saying? I don't
No,
know
I
if you.
got you. I got you.
Yeah, this is more of their specialty. Um, I'm not saying blockchain has nothing to do with it, but it relies heavily on AI autonomous vehicle mechanics. That those specialties.
Hmm.
Got you.
I wouldn't rule out blockchain though because
Yeah.
blockchain does have a stake in all of this as well. You're talking about vehicles that have to go through toll booths and payment systems and things like that. There is a strong area for blockchain to be implemented in these areas. So
Yeah.
So what do you guys think we can learn from like same thing with cars and the push right now? What could we learn from China, from the Asians, because they're kind of like um ahead of the game on this? Like, what could we learn from them far as US?
well, see, China's. China's bureaucracy is different than the United States. When they want to get something done, they just do it. There is no red tape to go through. Whereas in the United States, there's so much red tape to go through that you can't get a lot of things done. And that's the reason why you don't see autonomous vehicles on the road en masse across, the 48 states, right? So as long as you don't, the United States is federated, it says on paper, right? But in actuality, California is ahead of the game than, let's say, Illinois. But in China, they don't have that issue.
Yeah, I agree with you saying. We've seen numerous videos where they conferences and not conferences, conventions where they show autonomous buses, autonomous vehicles to drop off your food. We've seen continuous videos about CGTN, which they'll show them actually out in the test fields with different scenarios such as mud, rain, things of those things of that nature, and they're testing these vehicles. And like you said, China just do it. Us politicians lobbying, paying politicians, voting. Like you just said, it's a lot of unnecessary red tape to get this implemented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like
And
what?
I see this as a strong area for where black men can get into. Um, Part of what makes up the driver stack is actually coding. I forgot to throw in that Volvo is also a major player in this as well because they have Volvo and Jaguar both have autonomous vehicles ready to go and they're both electric.
Hmm.
But I
What
was
type of
just gonna
coding is
say
it?
that
What type of coding is it?
it's there's a various amount of coding. So you're looking at Java, you're looking at Go, you're looking at Python, um, even even HTML5. I would say that too. HTML5 being the most basic you can get a grasp on. But I was just going to say that that's where black men should be. This is an opportunity to get yourself in there. Now we'll throw in the blockchain as well. So if you can learn those languages, they can be implemented for the blockchain as well as the driver stack. So
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a great space for black men again to for our technology because if we can go in there and dominate that, right? You know, we can create exponential wealth, right? Which gives us more power,
mhm,
and I think that's what the main goal is, and I think it's a great avenue.
mhm,
It's a great avenue to put your kids into technology. Even myself, like I'm trying to focus on learning coding as well. So I think you just put the time into
right,
it, and you can get it done.
right.
Now, I'm asking
As far as
about Africa, right? I know Africa's like wide open, right? And you have U.S. doing this thing, China's doing this thing. I don't know what Russia's really doing, as far as autonomous vehicles and as far as AI, but you know, eventually it's gonna have to kind of transport into like once U.S. is developed, then other countries like Africa, other countries like Africa and whatnot. So as far as leading the field, like you think a good way to do it is just kind of get ourselves in the market down here, and then lead things here, and then try to work our way into like other continents such as Africa. Is that the right way to do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different, right? Because in Africa they have to share their resources, the land resource with the rest of the environment. So you can't just put a highway in through the Serengeti. It just doesn't it doesn't work that way. But I think in the most urban populated areas, you will see that sort of development take place because that's where it's most needed. And if they can get the infrastructure up there, everything else is just simple as just applying Legos. You apply the coding to the driver stack and the blockchain, and then you apply the vehicle to the road, and the road is developed. It's usually a sequential step process. Whereas in the United States, the amount of red tape that's going to be involved, you can be here for a few years. The vehicle will be ready to go, but you can't put it on the road because of all the legalities in place. So I think that Africa will be definitely um, the next place to explode for autonomous vehicles because not everybody owns a car in Africa, and there's a necessity to have a rapid transit system. But the cheapest way to implement a rapid transit system would be to have these autonomous vehicles. Um, these Chrysler Pacificas and these other vans set up just transporting people around autonomously. I mean, you could invest into a train system, into a light rail system, but the amount of money to be spent on that is 5 times more than that would be a passenger vehicle. So,
What's happening, fellas?
What's going on? How you doing today,
hey,
Dollar
what's
Will?
going on, Dog Will?
Yeah, I
Oh,
know
dollar.
I'm late to the party. I'm gonna ask. Can I ask? I like to ask a question. Hopefully, it doesn't disrupt the flow too much. Maybe you've already
Go ahead.
addressed it. Maybe it's too basic, but here it is. So, with autonomous vehicles and driving becoming a passive experience, I believe that people are not going to want to own cars. And we're not. I don't think we're going to be willing to pay premium for it. I mean, I think that what makes us pay all that money for one car or another is I think we like driving, and if the thrill of driving gives way to just the utility of transportation, I think I think what you were talking about other times that Uber and these other um, programs, I think people are just going to call up a car for transportation, and we may not be willing to own a car.
I think regulation is going to be to your point. I think regulation is actually going to rid you of those vehicles. I The way it's going right now, the incentives that's in place for EVs and hybrids is going to rule out the justification for owning a high emissions based vehicle like a petrol based vehicle.
Oh, I'm sorry. No,
Your
no.
car,
What I'm saying is, even let's get to the point where there are no more gasoline engines out there, driver. Let's get to the point where all the cars are driverless and clean energy, powered. Um, I'm saying that I don't think people are going to have the same desire to go out to spend a lot of money to own a car, even if it's a driverless car.
yeah, absolutely, I agree with you on that. But I think regulation would be the driver, lack of better description, excuse the pun, to rid people of all of that. And I think I talked about this before, but I think they'll go after the SUVs first. Big V8s, big V10 engines, putting out all that smog, all of these quote unquote rednecks, Duck Dynasty guys with these big lifted pickup trucks running around. Those trucks will be the first ones to go.
I guess my question:
Nah,
do you think the individuals will buy driverless cars?
You won't be buying a driverless car. You'll just be ride sharing. That's it.
Gotcha. So yeah, we're saying the same thing. Okay.
but this is the thing.
Yeah.
This is what is debatable, right? We got so much money in the oil industry. All these guys putting billions and trillions of dollars, billions of dollars and millions of dollars in people's pockets. Do you really think? I think it's gonna be very difficult to be 100% switch it to EVs, man, because so much money in oil, right? All these wars caused by oil, right? So it's like I don't think it's gonna be that easy.
I think they'll just do
Oil.
something else with their money. They'll just get whatever. They'll move that money to whatever else, whatever the new thing is. They don't care as long as they're making money.
No,
Mm.
you'll always need oil. You'll always need oil for productivity purposes, like for factories and whatnot. Because factories don't run off of batteries; they run off, natural gas and other crude oils. So you're always going to have a necessity for oil. But the problem is, in order for vehicles to advance, they have to adopt a new technology. And the old technology of gasoline-based petrol vehicles is just not something that the market is going to be able to sustain for very long. I think Africa was talking about at the African Union this year. They were talking about getting rid of petrol-based vehicles or diesel-based vehicles by 2040, which is not that far from now. You're talking 20 years from now that you won't see a diesel-based vehicle in Africa. The European Union is pushing for 2022, if I remember correctly, in especially the UK, 2022, getting rid of diesel-based vehicles. You won't see those anymore. Get them all off the road. They're not playing around. That's why I'm saying in reference to the United States, you won't have to worry about who's going to buy what. The regulations would just push you from ever having it to begin with.
Other than these oil companies, who's gonna be the biggest? Who's gonna get the biggest push as far as regulation? Try to to hold it back.
Whoever who has a vested interest. I mean, obviously Exxon and BP, the rest of these companies are going to be have their lobbyists, pushing back. But they've been doing this for years, right? And Tesla exists just based off of this whole entire concept of an electric vehicle, and it's been proven that it works. And now you see Mercedes, Volkswagen, Audi with the e-tron series, Volvo, um, what's the other one? Jaguar. All of these companies are going electric. And keep in mind that Jaguar and Volvo are basically owned by the Chinese, who have access to a lot of batteries, who can actually implement these batteries into these vehicles, who have a vested interest in selling the best vehicle. GM doesn't want to be left behind. Ford doesn't want to be left behind, and neither does Chrysler.
Yeah, I think life will go on. I mean, we witnessed the telephone companies basically disappear. you know, Before VoIP and cell phones and all of that. The telephone giants don't look anything like they did before. Or in General
Oh, you
Electric,
mean landlines?
yeah, landline, the Mount Bell, AT&T. That pie got split up so much, and companies got sold off, and that money just moves elsewhere. That whatever the new thing is, that money tries to own the new thing.
Hmm. I know. You have anything you want to add?
Oh no, I'm enjoying the show, listening to the different viewpoints.
Hmm. Let me just jump to this next video. So this next video is from Transport Evolved, and Complex actually sent this one out. So we'll cover this real quick. So the title of the video is "How Waymo Got to Ditch the Driver in California." Uh, what, to summarize, basically what's going on here is that California and Arizona are two of the main states that allow for autonomous driver piloting. So basically, test driving these vehicles on their roads in less dense populated areas. So, uh, some of the regulations that they have are a little bit different, but they're more or less the same. And the way how Waymo got around this is that they've been able to comply with most, if not all, the regulation because they can financially afford it. And the four major areas where they had to focus on was the car needs insurance. That's obvious. And then you factor in number two needs some form of human to be in the vehicle while testing to take over the vehicle in case of an accident. Doesn't necessarily need to be behind the wheel, but he needs to be in the vehicle, he or she. And then number three, um, they have to submit the development plans um, for the autonomous vehicle. So how it's developed and how it works and the ins and outs of this. And then the last one is basically they need to develop plans for first responders. So how first responders can approach the vehicle, where the vehicle is, who owns it, and so on and so forth. Whether or not you need the jaws of life to cut the vehicle open. So those are the four main areas that they had to comply with, which is not hard. And you can see it in the video right now. You see people getting inside the passenger seats of the Waymo shuttle, and there's nobody behind the wheel, and it just works.
Yeah, that still trips me out, man. Just seeing, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen it before like this. I don't know how comfortable. Again, for me, it's like people are jumping in, but like feeling comfortable just riding in something that you feel like nobody's controlling. But um, again, like what's the data? Like what has there been any other additional accidents from this, or like has it anybody other injuries that's happened from these vehicles? Like what's been going on?
So less than 1% of the testing and driving actually involved in an accident. So 25,000 rides, or 25,000, yeah, 25,000 rides. Um, there's only been less than 1% of those rides have been involved in an accident. So I mean, you looking at the video right now, you see all the graphics and whatnot used to used for autonomous driving. Just it's state of the art.
So how much safer is that than say people? Do they have any data where they can say that it's 25% safer than people or something like that? Is there any figures on that? Any estimates?
GM says it's GM CEO. We just before you got on, we went over this article, but GM CEO says that it's X amount of percentage safer than a human, and they can prove it. So they're going into it in 2019 for autonomous vehicles. So that tells us, at least on this panel and on this hangout, that they've proven that.
What's going on, everyone?
What's going on, Ulysses?
Hey, what's going on, Complex?
What's up,
Complex,
bro?
what's up, man?
Oh, chilling, man. I just wanted to kind of follow up on what Mike is saying. In a lot of the trials that have been run on autonomous vehicles, when there are accidents, they involve humans. Okay, so if sort of like left to the autonomous vehicles, the accidents that would occur amongst them fall within that 1% that Mike was speaking to. Uh, in all the other trials where there was an accident involving an autonomous vehicle, there was also a human involved in it, right? So you have to kind of look at the metrics.
When you say
Human,
there was a human involved, are you implying that the human was at fault?
well, that's kind of
Yes.
yeah, well, yeah, essentially because of the testing with autonomous vehicles just in an autonomous environment, like any accident, it's like a 1% occurrence. If you just leave it to all vehicles, they were all just autonomous. An accident would happen just amongst the vehicles themselves. It'd be like a 1% chance.
So
So
people
it
are
sounds
the
to me,
problem. People are the
yeah, yeah,
problem.
Not a problem.
yeah, I was thinking that like it sounds really safe to me. Yeah.
Yeah, people are the
Hmm.
problem. It was even determined in that accident that it was Mike was it Uber, I think it was, on a self-driving Uber car like killed somebody, right? However, when they looked at the data, the human was at fault. So the car did exactly what it was supposed to do based on its algorithms, and based on with the traffic light, the whole traffic situation, the car did what it was supposed to do, and the driver didn't.
Okay, now look at this, right? If that's what the data shows, so that means that would reduce drunk driver deaths. That would reduce, uh, people driving because they're too tired. So driving till they're too tired and cause an accident, like it'd be safer for teenage drivers. You buy your child a car who's like 16, 17. And usually they would be considered like a high risk. But if you give them a car like this, right, or it kind of reduces the risk. So um, just looking at the data, you know, my thoughts on this is, it looks legit. It's legit.
And I also see like in the future, I see a market, and hopefully, our company is positioned to kind of be a player in this. But in the future, I can see, um, maybe we can look up this car. But Renault makes a car over in Europe called the Twizy. It's an electric car. It's like a small electric car, and it only does maybe like about top speed maybe like 40, 45, right? So it's basically a commuter car for the road. Um, but I see like in the future where those kind of cars, which are only going to be like around in the $7,000 to $10,000 price range because of the size and the battery capacity, they'll be fully autonomous. You'll just get in that thing and you'll pull up Google Maps or Waymo or whatever, and you'll just hit a destination, and it'll open the garage, it'll back out, it'll just go, and you'll just sit in it and ride it. And those will be cars that people will have, but they'll be lower cost cars because the construction of them, it's like not a huge powerful motor, and not a huge battery pack, but it's a small car that'll get you around in the city. And for 10,000, I can see like an autonomous variant of it, like an option for like 12. Like the car would be based to be like 8 to 10, and then like for the autonomous option, tack on another like 3 or 5 grand. And I think people
So it
will have
sounds.
the.
Well, I'm sorry, bro. Go ahead.
You could go ahead. No, you go.
No, I'm just saying it sounds affordable. Like it's affordable.
It will be. It will be. So my EV designs are to be commuter cars, right? That don't cost any more than like 12 grand, and it can be done easily. It can easily be done. You'll see it. You'll see it here in the next 10 to 15 years. You're going to start to see the price of electric cars go down as the price of energy, like the price per kilowatt. But once we hit the $100 per kilowatt, that's like kind of like the magic number in terms of cost per energy consumption for electric cars. Once you get to that point, I think we're really like right there. Like a kilowatt equals like $100. So once it starts dipping below that, game on.
Can you
Yes, I,
imagine?
I just want to.
I was just gonna say, can you
I just
imagine?
want
Yeah, I was just gonna say, can you imagine a neighborhood where instead of everyone having a car out front, maybe it's like 2 or 3 cars a block, or every 2 blocks, 2 or 3 blocks, and that car will just take people to the mass transit, take you to the subway.
Yeah. I actually see that as I sent that email out about like own your own dockless scooter network. I think I sent that email like either today or yesterday. Um, so the same you'll be able to do the same thing with cars. That's quiet as kept, man. That's what we want to do. Like all forms of transportation, basically.
I just wanted to go over this one segment in the video. If you're looking at the video, then what you can see here is that the autonomous vehicle comes to a stop sign, um, is identifying whether or not there's oncoming traffic, whether or not it's safe to go, and whether or not there's a human coming across the crosswalk. It's detecting all of this in real time.
The the thing that'll just really just push this ahead, man, is when you have a fully implemented 5G network. When you have
Already
5,
done.
yep. Well, yeah. When that's done, or when they're on that, is all this running on 5G right now?
No, these are just autonomous. They're GPS based, but they do have 4G based vehicles. I know GM's Cruise series has 4G LTE.
Right. Okay.
I
So
know
let's say they.
McLaren's have.
McLaren's on 4G also.
Yep.
So let's say they were to go
Okay,
5G.
fellas.
What
All right,
difference would it
fellas.
make?
There you go.
Huh?
That's what I was going to ask. What's the advantage of five G over 4G?
The data transmission.
Uh, yeah, your data transmission as well as the accuracy of the signal. So the signal is accurate down to 12 inches.
Yeah, it's like inches. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's down to 12 inches. Whereas 4G is like down to feet, right? So maybe like within 100 feet.
Okay.
And plus, it allows for more. It allows for more devices to ride on the network itself without being saturated. 4G can't do that.
So my Find My Phone app would trace it to the person.
Exactly.
5G will say you
Hmm.
have my phone,
Hmm.
as opposed to it's in your house or
Right.
one of those houses or one of those apartments or that apartment building.
Yeah, no, 5G.
It brings the signal all the way down to the inches.
Wow.
So that last mile that people worry about where they can't get the signal and things like that, that's what 5G covers all of that.
Where is this implemented right now?
They
It's
have
on.
5G testing in Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 5G being tested in Africa right now, or 6 months ago it was being tested. I think it's already been fully implemented in
Hmm.
most urban centers in East Africa. I know South Africa already has the towers up and going already. On the East Coast and the West Coast, Verizon already has their towers up. AT&T has their towers up.
They're already
They
starting to
won't be ready to
sell. They're advertising 5G home packages right now, man. I heard it on the radio here, like maybe like a week ago.
I was
Hmm.
getting
I
ready to
Yeah,
ask
because
that.
Go ahead,
So
Dollar.
I was getting ready to ask if we go to 5G cellular, will that eliminate the need for people to have a separate internet account for their home?
no,
Can they? It won't eliminate that.
no. You're talking about just over the air technology, but if you want internet access for the home, then you're gonna have to have something more solid and dedicated.
Yeah, five G will definitely be the what brings this online fully. So everything that we're talking about, to see it fully actualized, it'll be on on a 5G platform. But as it is right now, I mean, look, you're getting 1% 1% accident occurrence, and this is on like a 4G LTE network with autonomous vehicles right now. So 5G stuff, man, I think it's gonna be mind blowing.
Yeah, the whole purpose of 5G is to bring on the IoT segment. So these
Hmm.
vehicles that you see in these videos, these autonomous vehicles, are basically IoT. You know, Internet of Things. You know, they're wirelessly connected to the network and they communicate. Um, just no different than a cell phone would communicate with a person with a smartphone. So um, they need to capture as much data as possible. They need to relay that information as much as possible, as well as they need a clear connection as much as
Hmm.
possible. And the problem with 4G is they tend to have problems with water, trees as well, because trees hold water, so there's a lot of density inside those areas that block the signal. 4G doesn't have to worry too. I mean, 5G doesn't have to worry too much about that.
And you know, also too, you know, a lot of the cars that you've seen at past shows like SEMA and the Geneva Auto Convention, LA Auto Show, and all that, where they show like these futuristic cars that they hope to produce, like say 20 years into the future and all that. You don't really see that too much nowadays, but you used to see it back in the day. But a lot of the concepts for a lot of that stuff had technology that largely was predicated upon a platform like a 5G to be implemented. And I'm talking like cars you would see maybe 20, 30 years ago. Like they had conceptually the technology was designed into the cars, but the platform to make it possible wasn't there. But now you see it. Now it's here. So now you're going to see this stuff come online a whole lot quicker.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
it. That's interesting, man. I was grabbing some lunch right a few days ago, and I met this gentleman. He works for Range Rover, and he works at a dealership. And he was like, we were discussing like he's like he's going to go to school to become a technician. And he was telling me his dad was a mechanic, and he was just like, he looks in these cars. Even he looks at these cars now. He's like, majority of it is a lot of electronic components that he's like he needs. He can't just look into a car and just fix it, right? So it's like, so let's look at what's going on with these cars right now. They're gonna create a new job market, and I think you're gonna have to have a specific type of skills just to work on these cars. You're not gonna just be a just a grease mechanic and just open the hood and start working on these. Like you got to be,
You have to be an
especially
electric.
yeah, yeah. What do you say like a more like electronic engineer type of thing?
Yeah,
Is that what
it
you're
can
trying
be.
to say?
You're gonna either need to be an electrician or an electrical engineer, or a mechanical engineer that has some working knowledge of electronics. Like
All right.
if what your specialty is say like turbochargers, naturally aspirated, high performance engines, stuff like that, there's literally going to be no place for you in the EV market.
Mm, dang.
Like none. Now that's not to say that um, there won't be like a sub market for internal combustion engines. You're always going to have that.
Yeah.
That's going to be there for quite some time. However, but in the future, your jobs, right, at GM, Ford, Toyota, you know, Tesla, you know, I would say Faraday Future, but I think they're about to get put to rest. I just saw some news on the wire across them. Yeah, it's everybody's jumping ship, so they may be going bye bye. But in the future, all of the jobs will be tech based, electrical, mechanical, engineering based. It's going to be in that realm.
Mm, that's interesting. So it's like, um, you can't like sit back on technology anymore. Like you're gonna have to change with it, or you just kind of like fall off. So
Or
it's
just
it's
be
up.
or be an end user of it.
Mm, yeah, and you brothers specifically has been talking about this for months, right? And it's like crazy how it's like, okay, you guys spoke about it, but now you're like, CEOs of companies are saying like, this is we're doing this now. This is gonna happen now. Like, so I gotta give it to you, brothers. You guys are telling the truth. You guys are telling people the truth.
Hey man, follow the money. Like whatever the largest companies and whatever industries that they're participating in, when they talk, listen. It lets you know where things are heading. So if they say, if Porsche, we talked about this maybe it was like last week, I think,
Mm,
Porsche basically is committing now to shoot, I think they're $2 billion. I forgot how much money they put to establish an EV division. That's an entire division, and then they're talking about literally 15,000 employees within Porsche, right? Would be largely eligible to roll over into this new division. See, so we talk about transferable job skills. The first thing Porsche is doing is they're looking at the talent that they have within their organization and then moving them over. They're saying all these people right here have the skills to go over here and build this up. Okay. But it's Porsche's commitment to do Porsche synonymous with high performance race cars and Le Mans, Spa Francorchamps, and all these legendary tracks in Europe, not electric cars. So when they turn around and do that, and then they say, look, we're also going to commit a large portion of our human capital, our human resources over to build this up, that's a signal. Okay.
mm.
What that also tells you is like a company like Porsche, which is basically a part of the Mike, you're going to correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't they part of Volkswagen Group?
VAG, yeah, Volkswagen
Yeah,
Worldwide.
okay. They are, right. So that's part of a larger conglomerate automotive group. Okay. So that means that there's other also automotive brands that are also going to have their own EV divisions. So now we're talking about securing resources for that. And on our geopolitics hangouts, we've spoken a lot about the cobalt deposits in the DRC, in the Congo, which are the largest cobalt deposits in the world. And cobalt is largely used in the manufacturing production of lithium ion batteries. Okay. So when you see large companies like that, like Porsche, which are owned by larger conglomerate companies who then need to secure resources like cobalt, you can then start to understand why you see some of the geopolitical maneuverings that you see taking place in places like the Congo and other resource rich areas. So all of these things they're all intrinsically linked. You can always kind of view it. So when you talk about what we said before, man, all we're doing is just staying up on the news and staying up on the movements in the industries, and we put two and two together.
Mm. You guys just pretty
Yeah,
much
I just
connecting the dots.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to jump in and say, just want to transition real quick to basically pitch a question to the panel. If you could buy a car right now, what would be your next vehicle?
If I'm
Ooh.
not driving it, I don't care.
No, he said no. He said if you could drive, if you could buy a car right now,
Oh,
what would
I
be?
was, what's that? What's the new Audi? I seen a commercial of a new Audi coupe. I said, oh, that looks nice. They were,
The you're not talking about like the A8.
no. It's a V something. It's a new something new for them. It looks new. I don't know the exact model number, but I like the A8 also. So it would probably be an Audi for
I'm
me.
surprised you wouldn't like the Acura TLX.
I think I'm ready to make a change. I've had a Honda of one type or another for about 30 years.
Hmm.
Okay. You
Uh,
want to make a change from the Honda and make a change from the MacBook?
There you go. There you go.
I would say
Midlife crisis. Midlife crisis.
I'm still like I still have this thing for the Volvo C30. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's this hot little hatch that Volvo produced. I think like around 2009, 2010. And what happened was that they launched the car, and then right after they launched it, they were sold. So there was these C30s that hit the market, and then Volvo kind of didn't produce any new cars for maybe like 2 years, and then they were acquired by Geely, a Chinese company. So Volvo's basically a Chinese brand now, uh, but they produced the C30 only for a short amount of time, and they had a Polestar T5 variant of the C30. It's like a sky blue with oh my god, this thing is just awesome. And it's not like there's no super expensive car or anything like that, but it's kind of like a rare. It's a rarity. You don't really see them around much, but this thing is awesome.
I've driven them before.
Oh, what did you think?
It's like a very souped up. Well, I shouldn't say souped up, but it's very it's like a conservative version of the GTI, so to speak. I've had both a GTI too, so
Mhm.
um, GTI is a very souped up vehicle, a souped up hatchback, but the C30 is more like it's like a suit and tie type of hatchback.
Did you drive the T5, the Polestar version, or was it like one of like it's like the sportier regular C30s?
They're all T5. But the problem is the Polestar is the actual BTO built to order, so
Mhm.
they don't really keep those on the
Yeah.
lot. But I have driven the Boston based version, the Boston Red Sox version. That was
Oh,
I think like
nice,
the first iteration of it, and yeah, it has the Red Sox baseball stitch seats and stuff like that. But it
nice.
I think it's a pretty good car. I wanted it before I bought my GTI, but it took too long for them to come out with it, so I I,
Mhm.
I just got the GTI anyways.
Yeah, the
Um,
C30,
but
man. I was gonna say that
if
C30.
I had to do it all
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
if I had to do it all again, if I had to do it all over again, I would have got the C30.
Really? What? Why?
Yeah,
Why? Why? What happened with the GTI?
the GTI was readily available, but the C30 was not.
No, but you said if you had to do it all over again, you'd go with the C30. I'm saying why?
It's a better car.
Okay. Hmm. I like the GTI though, man. My boy actually just bought one this past week out in Arizona. So he's geeked 6 speed. Um, I forgot which one. What it's a gosh, a 2008. That's a Mark V, is it? I think. think the 2008, 2000 that's like a Mark V, but it's a yeah. I like golfs too, man. The GTIs are nice too.
Hmm. Yep.
What about you, Jack?
You have a yeah, Jack. You have one.
Yeah, my eyes are set on a Tesla, man. I want to get a Tesla.
Yeah, which one?
This I'm not sure the models, but I think I saw a four door one. I'm not
There's a
sure what's.
model. There's the Model S, the Model X, and the Model 3.
All right, I gotta.
The new one is the newest one is the Model 3, so it's like the smaller four door. The Model S is like the standard larger four door that they came out with a few years ago, and then the Model X is the SUV.
Yeah, I like the larger four door, but they haven't come
Yeah.
up with a new model yet, or is this?
The Model 3 is the one they just came out with the Model 3 now, and that's BTO also. This one's built to order also.
Mm, okay. Yeah, I saw somebody driving. I was like, that's nice. I want
Yeah.
one of those. And if I could have a classic, I like Monte Carlos. Uh,
Oh snap.
at the SS. That's my favorite car. And then an RX-7, and I'm all set.
RX-7 as well.
Yeah.
Let me look in the chat. Christian says he likes the Subaru Crosstrek. Interesting. Um, Digital Digital Distributors Plus says he likes the C class fully loaded. Um, yeah, Preem likes his F-150.
You mean to tell me all these brothers on here, nobody said the black man's wheels?
The
Nobody
BMW.
said BMW. Wow. You snobs.
Sorry you got that. I stepped away for a second. What was that? Who did you mention that Christian? What was that? Oh,
Christian
Subaru
likes the
Crosstrek.
Subaru Crosstrek.
Ah, he's a Subi guy. Okay. What do you think of
That's
Chris
interesting.
BRZ? That Subaru BRZ.
I'm not a fan of that thing at all, man. They can keep that. They can keep that thing.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't know. It's something about the Subarus, man. Subarus are like, I've noticed that uh, usually people who own a Subaru is always like a owner like might buy one and they hold on to it for a long time. I never seen anybody just they keep changing owners. It's always like one time a person buy it, they hold on to it, especially the older models.
It's an appliance. It's an
Yeah.
appliance to them. So they see it as something that's integrated into their life for that very use. And Subaru makes most of their sales in New England. So um, I think like 30, 33, if not more percentage of their sales. I think like 40% of their sales are in New England itself.
Mm-hmm.
So because there's snow and people believe in all-wheel drive, and it's been proven to be reliable. Um, at least in the past, it has been. If you in New England, if you come up here, you'll see either a Subaru in someone's driveway, a Volvo because they have all-wheel drive, or you'll see a Saab because they were really good at handling snow.
Mm.
Even despite the fact that they were front-wheel drive, they were just
You
uh,
still see
the car was
Saabs
so
out there?
narrow. Excuse me.
You still see Saabs out there?
Oh, people still hold on to their Saabs.
Wow.
People who are Saab owners, they're pretty faithful to the brand. So if it works, then they're keeping it.
Mm-hmm.
The baby shoe. That's what
Yeah,
it looks like, man. It looks like a daggone baby shoe.
Well, I gotta say this
get
though,
rid of
man. The later Saabs, I'm trying to remember which version of it. It was before they actually stopped, before the company was sold. But man, they actually built a S2000 touring car out of one of them. Mike, I don't know if you saw this. It never. I think it maybe ran like maybe one regional race in like Eastern Europe somewhere. But this thing was badass, dude. And like that was they were trying to launch this thing to kind of save the Saab brand. This was maybe back in like 2010, 2011. And I think this was right around the time when yeah, Saab was up for sale, and I'm not sure what ended up happening with them.
Yeah, the guy who owns Kon, Koenigsegg,
Koenigsegg, yeah.
yeah, I think he wanted to buy them, but GM did not want to give the patents and the technology that goes behind Saab with it. They just wanted to sell the brand, and that wasn't going to be the case. Um, they were going to turn them into an electric brand to go against Fisker, and they would have been a better electric brand because they had the audience, they had the customer base to do it, but they just didn't have the technology. GM wasn't going to put any money behind them, so which is unfortunate because they were selling it for dirt cheap too. They were selling the brand for like I think like maybe $500 million or something like that.
Yeah, it was
It was
really
really
cheap,
really
man.
cheap.
It was real cheap. Yeah, I remember that.
Another sob story.
No.
Dollar Will, you ain't shit.
I never claimed to be, sir. Oh
Well,
God.
Christian is saying in the chat that he has a 2006 Outback and it's still going. But that proves my point that people who buy Subarus are faithful to the brand and they see the car as an appliance. It's one within themselves. So they don't if it works, they're keeping it. They're not going to get rid of it unless it absolutely dies on them.
Hey Mike, I'm gonna screen share real quick. I'm gonna show you
Go ahead.
guys. Oh, wait. Here. It's the Saab 9.3. That's what it is. That's the one it was. And yeah, I think it was the dudes from Koenigsegg. They actually, I think they were the ones behind building this car. And yeah, you're right. They were trying to purchase it. I think this was maybe about 7 or 8 years ago. And the purchase never happened. And Saab actually has an interesting background story. I didn't even realize that the car brand was actually an extension of what Saab originally did, which was build airplanes or airplane engines, I think it was.
Right. Made from jets
Mm-hmm.
because they still make weapons. Saab actually makes weapons. So.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, they're very embedded in the defense industry. They make some serious, powerful weapons. So if you look at South Africa's whole military uses Saab.
Interesting.
I had no clue about
surface to air missiles. Yeah, surface to air missiles, fighter jets. The Gripen is probably one of the best fighter jets on the market, next to the F-18 Super Hornet and the F-22 Raptor.
Mm-hmm.
Missile, submarine warfare capabilities, drone capabilities, radar capabilities, all types of just immense amount of stuff that they do in the defense industry. Which is why they didn't want the car company being associated with it because it was kind of ruining the brand. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, in South Florida, I barely see anybody driving Saabs. Usually, when the snowbirds come back in town, you'll see a couple of them pop up. But like usually down here, nobody drives Saabs. It's usually
Yeah, that's.
What?
No, I was just gonna say that's a very liberal brand. So the people who buy Saabs are the same people who buy Volvos and Subarus. Like they think differently, they operate differently. They usually like a dentist or some form of orthopedic surgeon or something like that. Same thing with Subarus. They're the guys who wear the flannel shirts with the skinny jeans and the Van sneakers for skateboarding, but they don't own a skateboard.
Right.
And they usually refer to their spouse as my partner and I.
And everything is everything's
That's hilarious.
non-GMO. Everything's non-GMO, vegan, and organic. It's all
They shop at Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's.
Christian's is like, yeah, it's me,
Publix.
man, it's me.
Yeah, they don't like Piggly Wiggly.
And they have very snazzy beards, like the way the beards are cut. You know, those lumberjack beards. You seen those?
Mhm.
Never swung an axe in their life though.
And what kind of music do they listen to?
But Imagine Dragons.
Oh my gosh. They listen to Milli Vanilli.
Damn.
Nah, I like Subarus, man. They had one that was I forgot it had a turbo in it. I forgot which one it was, man. They were big around like 04, 05. I forgot. What was that? You guys remember what car that was? It was a Subaru. It was had a
What the
turbo in it.
Yeah, the WRX.
Yeah, WRX. Yeah,
The Impreza. I mean, well, I'll tell you right now, like if I were to get a Subaru, that's what it would be.
I like that car. One of my friends had one of those.
Yeah.
And the turbo sound nice in that
They
one.
command a high price tag. Yeah, they command a high price tag now because they don't make them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
In that regard, so everybody wants that 2-door, Need for Speed, sort of Fast and Furious Impreza that's on the market. You know, the 1999. I think that was the last rally championship that they won.
Yeah.
And what they do is they throw the big they throw a big engine in there. You know, the 4-cylinder with the big turbos on it, and yeah, that thing goes, man.
Do you guys remember the Honda Preludes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one of those. That was my first car.
Hey, everybody.
Chris?
How's everyone doing?
How's that your first car?
Yo, Christian, what's up, man?
Hey, man.
Dude, I'm sorry, Jack, how do you come out the box with a Honda Prelude as your first car?
Hey, that's my first
Not
car,
a hoopty, not like a deuce and a quarter from back in my day, but a Honda Prelude.
Yeah, it was souped up and everything.
All right. First off, I don't wear flannel. Second
Yeah,
off, I don't have a full beard. I got a goatee, and I keep it trimmed. Second, it's not my partner. My wife is the beloved. All right.
He came in smashing all stereotypes.
The Subaru Warrior is gonna be.
Now, I can't say nothing about Imagine Dragons. I'm
Well, look, I'm showing a video here of a this is a WRX STI, but this one's kitted for TCR racing. So I think you've heard Mike and I talk about TCR before, but basically it's the closest thing you have to like pure production car racing, where they take a car right off the production room or the production floor and build it right into a race car. So you know, the motor, everything in that car is from the production car. It's just they just build the shit out to a really fast touring car. And so Subaru, Mike is mentioning, you know, they really haven't been competitive in rally for some time because, quite frankly, their cars are just too big. And when you got like the Ford Fiestas, you know, your Citroens, who else is out there? I mean, even the Toyota Yaris was doing some damage in WRC, and Subaru just fell by the wayside because the WRX STI has just it's too big of a car. But for touring cars, it's not too shabby. So this is kind of where Subaru has kind of shifted their attention to. They've shifted to going road racing.
what was it stock as far as horsepowers?
Stock? I think
Yeah.
stock on the WRX is coming from the showroom floor. It's like 280. And then like in this trim right here in TCR trim, it's about 350.
And so they're running.
Yeah, it's it's not too bad. It's not too bad, dude. Like I said, for what they ended up making this is basically in the Impreza. It's the WRX, but because of look at the size of it, man. It's a bigger car. It's a lot bigger than what it used to be back in the day.
But what were they known for? The handling? The handling was really good on those, right?
Oh yeah, Colin McRae used to throw these things around rally courses, dude. Like the 555 rally race team, those WRX Imprezas from like what Mike was saying back in like the late '90s, early 2000s. Oh man, balls, dude, they were hard.
Man, I remember when these cars came out, man. They're in South Florida. They were big. A lot of people were trying to get those. But again, you're right. The price tag, yeah,
Yep.
they're high on those.
Yep.
Killer payments.
It was, but you know, if you were out putting in work in the streets, you was making that money back then. I mean, I know dudes that took they got the cars and made the payments, but they went out and raced in the streets and made the money back so they could pay for it.
So street racing was big in California?
Oh shit, man. Hell yeah. That's where all that Fast and Furious stuff came from.
Oh, California? Okay.
Yeah, SoCal street racing scene, man. I was in the thick of it too back in the day. But yeah, you know, Subarus are good cars, man. They really are though. They're good cars.
Yeah, if you can deal with the aesthetics. I mean, it's no Bentley or anything like that, but
yeah, it was.
It does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, right. That's what they didn't know about it. It didn't look. It didn't have the greatest look.
It's utility. It's a utility vehicle, though. It really is. It's like you said. Mike called it an appliance.
Yeah, it gets from point A to point A to point B, and when it snows, they don't stop. They just keep going, and that's part of the reason why in New England you see a lot of their sales are through the roof. You know, people will hand down their previous Subaru down to their children and go out and go get another Subaru. That's the way how their culture is. Go to Vermont, especially. Nothing but Subarus up there. Subarus and Volvos.
I know that. Also, Volvos are also a four-wheel drive too. Some of them are four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the most part, they're all-wheel drive. Yeah, the V70, the V60s, and XC90s and XC60s. People love those. Same thing, XC70s across countries. They love those Volvos up in north, man. They can't get enough of those. If you go to a Subaru dealership, you can't even negotiate the price. You just buy it as is. If you can't afford it, then that's just too bad. Go somewhere else. Christian can maybe speak more on this because he owns a Subaru. Or maybe not.
I'm sorry, I stepped away for a quick second. What was that?
Flannel shirts.
Nope.
Flannel shirts and.
I don't have any Vans. I don't have any flannel shirts.
What about a longboard, nope. like a skateboard, like a longboard though?
No comment.
Oh.
No comment. Hey, that's what's up, man. Do you?
No, hey, but
do you have
does it snow where you're at,
yeah.
Christian? All right, so what's it like driving your car in the snow? Like, how's it?
I am fine. Now the people that's around me, and they panic your asses. Nah. But I'm fine. We have I don't want to say floods. But when the water's pretty high, I don't have a problem. Well, Kung Fu Master got us on Subarus, and almost everybody went to his class. They had to go out and buy a car. They ran out and got a Subaru.
And what do you think is the biggest problem you have with your car? Like what's
since it's a 2006, it's hard to find parts.
Yeah.
I forgot what I had to get last time, but the dealership was like, "Oh man, it's just time for you to buy another car." So I gave him the finger and got online and found a part and fixed it myself.
Just like a Subaru owner would.
Yep. They brought it on themselves. They should make such a good car that lasts for decades.
Even in the commercials, they're like they give it to the kids. Like that's the brand, that's their image. That's what they market. Like, oh, give it to your kids and then buy a new one. So it's like
that reliable.
Yep. Yeah, I never seen. I don't know anybody I know that has a Subaru that gave it sold it. Like they usually keep that car. So,
man, do you remember the Subaru Brat? Do you guys remember that car?
I'm trying to think of that now.
Yeah.
Subaru
Yeah,
Brab.
that was like a
El
it was
Camino.
like a Baja
Yeah,
pickup.
it's kind of like a
Yeah, it was like
mini
an El
Baja.
Camino.
Yep. Yeah, I still see those around randomly out here. Like dudes still use them, carry their boards to the beach and stuff. But though that was another one of those Subarus, man, that like they just run. They run forever.
Hmm.
What do you guys think about the Alfa Romeros? What do you think about those?
Oh, I love Alphas, dude. I love Alphas. The new Julia.
I had one. A cousin owed me some
Oh
money.
yeah?
And he gave me. This is long ago. This is a 19. Was it a set? It was either 78 or 76. Alfetta. It was a piece of crap.
I think the Alpha.
And back in that era, they were crappy cars, but they look great. A lot of people, everybody, at least in the DMV, if you had one, you would meet everybody with one because you stayed at those cars stayed in the shop. There wasn't that many places to repair them, so you met everybody.
Yeah,
Uh,
Julia
uh,
is nice, man.
yeah, the Julia, the new Alphas. Oh man. Oh my God, I love that. Here, I'm gonna pull up a pic. I'll pull it up here.
Eventually, everybody DMV would know each other. That's crazy. I thought it was a new brand, so they've been around for a long time.
Oh yeah, they stopped.
Oh,
They were stopped being sold here back in '84, '85, I think. But Alfa Romeo is
Alpha.
been around for a long time.
Yeah, Alpha is what gave Ferrari life.
Yep.
It
Mm,
was actually Ferrari who came from Alpha.
really?
He used to race for Alpha. Yeah, back in the 30s. And that's where Ferrari came from. So Ferrari, he spun off and started his own brand, which was Ferrari, and then Lamborghini um, was actually driving the Ferraris, and he didn't like some of the things that Ferrari did. They were loud, they were oily, and when he complained to Ferrari, they told him to go take a hike. So he went and created his own cars, and
Mm.
because he used to create tractors. These are all Italian brands.
These are all Italian. Yep. Yep. Here, I'm gonna show you guys. This here. This is what
Yeah,
Alpha.
keep it techie. Yeah, keep it techie in the chat says my first vehicle was a 1989 Isuzu pickup truck, stick shift. I used to drive it like a stock car. I bet you drove like it was stolen.
A Suzu.
My
Wow.
brother had one of those. I like them. I like those trucks.
Japanese. That's the new Alfa Romeo Giulietta. That's the TCR race car version of it. And the team, you notice, Romeo Ferraris.
Mm.
So that speaks to the racing heritage that Alfa Romeo has.
So when it
And
comes to building a race car, how much money does one of these cars cost to build?
these TCR cars right here,
Yeah.
Mike, how much is that? You had sent it to me, man, like a month ago. How much is that GTI TCR going for?
Oh, that's like maybe
That's
80 grand or something like that, something to that
like
effect.
80, 100 grand or something.
Yeah.
The older TCR cars that are starting, like the used TCR cars that are hitting the market, they're hitting the market at about like about 80 grand, 80, 90 grand. All the newer versions of the cars that are being built now, they're up at around about 150 to 200 grand.
Mm.
But these are for racing teams, so keep that in
Yeah,
mind.
yeah, they're literally
Building
what they
racing.
are. Yeah, what they are is their cars. They're literally built off of the factory, all factory components. And so you could walk into an Alfa Romeo dealer and say, "Hey, look, I want to buy one of these," and they'll get it sent over to you.
Like
I think
did these are street legal?
no,
You're not. Yeah, I thought
no,
that.
no, but built. It's a production built car. So it's
Mm.
not street legal, but it's a production built car. Like you buy it from them. So all of the major manufacturers are doing it now. Like let's say you got there's Alpha, there's Subaru, there's Honda, Hyundai. They have the the what's it called? Iconic, I think it's called in the U.S., but it's the I-30 overseas, and it's kicking ass everywhere. In TCR this year, Hyundai is just dominating. Hyundai's in it, Peugeot, Vauxhall, uh, Renault. Um, who else is in there? Seat, Volkswagen. All of the Japanese manufacturers besides Honda are, or Subaru too. So, but like Toyota and all them, yeah, they're nowhere to be found. There was a Ford Escort TCR that was built, but it just got its ass kicked, and like you haven't seen that car like since 2016, I think. So all the major manufacturers do have a TCR variant that can be bought. If you walked into a dealer and told them you wanted to buy one and you had the cash, they'll get it for you.
That's cool. What are you guys' thoughts on the? Do you think they're overrated? Not the Skylines. You think they're overrated cars?
GTRs?
Yeah. Oh,
Hell
that's a
no.
GTR or Nissan Skyline, right?
Oh, hell no.
Not necessarily.
Mm-mm.
Not necessarily. I think that those cars serve a purpose. They're a go fast car that compete with supercars for for less than 100,000. Right? I mean, if you want the top of the line one, you're gonna pay like 180. But those cars are stupid fast. Like they're just like fast for no reason. For what it costs. Um, they're bulky, but they do exactly what they're supposed to do. They're 4 wheel drive. They're twin turbo, and they just annihilate everything in its path. I've seen those things walk Lamborghinis before. So
Nah. Hold on. I think there was videos of that. I thought they were like that. They did more. They did extra work into it, right? They put like a bigger stage turbo on it, or that was just stock. That beat a
no, that's stock. That's stock, man.
damn. Damn, I didn't know
It's
that.
twin turbo. It's two big turbos in there moving that weight of that vehicle. So and it's 4 wheel drive, so it has absolute traction from start to finish. It doesn't
Yeah.
really let up. But it's ugly. In my opinion, it's an ugly car. I wouldn't buy one.
Yeah. Not the prettiest looking car.
Skyline or WRX, man? Which one?
Uh, the newest WRX. You wait, no. I mean, you're saying the newest WRX and the
Which
new GTR.
one would
Comparing,
you pick? Yeah.
which one would I pick? Oh my God, GTR.
Well, that's an apples and orange comparison. I mean,
Kind
you
of is,
buy
but
you buy a GTR. Yeah, you buy a GTR if you couldn't afford a Lamborghini or a what do they call that?
like a
The
McLaren.
Yeah, like a McLaren long tail series. You
Mm-hmm.
buy it because of that.
Because for the price, man, all you got to do is do some tweaks to a GTR, and it's just as fast.
Hmm.
And I mean, for the price that you'd be paying for the GTR, dude, it's a fraction, maybe a third to build. Well, you get a GTR, you do like some tuning to the computer, bigger turbos. You don't have to touch the motor. You don't have to touch the internals. Better turbos, some reprogramming, and an exhaust. You're in the game. Like it doesn't take much, man. Like what a GTR didn't take much.
Hmm. Wait, Christian is sad. What's going on, Christian? See that little emoji in the chat?
No reason, man. No reason.
Oh, okay.
Have you guys looked at
Yeah, I'm looking.
Porsche's new line yet, or you haven't taken a look at them yet?
I actually went to go test drive one some time ago. The problem I have with Porsche is that they nickel and dime the crap out of you.
Yep.
So it makes it unattractive. I'm not a big fan of that at all. I think if you're paying $100,000 for a car, you like it should have backup sensors. It should have a rear, you know, a rear camera. I think those things should be standard, and the fact that they nickel and dime you on those type of things, you know, makes me angry. Makes you want to punch babies.
It does not make you want to do that. Come on. Porsche actually has they have a new, oh man, I'm trying to find it. They were just actually testing a new race car. Oh god, which version was it? I'm trying to remember. 11. I'll look it up here. But I must say, I have a soft spot for a 911 GT3. That is probably the car. If you had to just ask me, what car do you want in your garage right now? That would be it.
Yeah, I like GT3s. That I think that the price is worth it. The price of admission is worth it on those.
Yep.
You know exactly what you're getting, but I just feel like if you're going to sell me a vehicle that doesn't have backup sensors, you don't deserve my money. My Volkswagen has backup sensors, so why do I need to pay more for a Porsche?
Well, I'll say on a GT3, like see on a GT3, I'm looking at that largely as I'll drive it on the street, but that's my track car because that's basically a street legal race car, right? So I'll go find somebody who will throw some cameras on it for me. Like I still want a GT3. Like that, no backup cameras. That wouldn't be a deal breaker for me. I'd still get the car.
Oh, GT3s have backup sensors on them. So.
Oh, okay. You're talking about on some of the lower models. They should still have those as standard because yeah, even basic ass Fords have backup sensors on their cars.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that it's absurd that they feel somehow that it's not necessary to have it.
I'm still trying to find that Porsche, man. I saw some spy shots of this thing running about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Find that shit.
When you guys talking about the GT3, talking about the RS or the standard GT3?
Either, well, I mean, yeah, I was gonna say you go either one, but if you go RS, I mean, shit, you you can't go wrong. Not go wrong.
Now, Christian, do you have a set of snow tires for your Outback, or do you just drive on all seasons?
All seasons.
Okay.
Mm. Yeah, see, on the East Coast, man, I know Subaru's big because they sponsor a lot of the SCCA rally races that occur. I think they only do one. They only have like one event they do over here on the West Coast. Most of them take place back east, though, like in Maine and all those places. And that's where Subaru's U.S.-based factory rally team is. It's actually like in Vermont or Maine or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just looked up the specs on that GT3. It says 500 horsepower. That's crazy, man.
And it says street
Max,
legal race car.
It says top track speed is 198. that it is funny that the car sits so low to the ground. Man, it's like a bullet.
Oh man, you should try getting in a cart, a racing cart. Talking about sitting low to the ground. You're you what? Not even 3 inches. You're like 2 inches off the ground. And it's the stuff that I drive, man. You know, like you're super low to the ground.
Mm.
Hey, Christian, how many miles is on your Subaru?
I want to say about 185,000.
Wow.
Damn.
Any major repairs?
No, not really.
Just basic
Damn.
maintenance, huh?
Basic maintenance.
Man.
I put a new alternator on there. Nothing major.
Okay, well, that's
I
electric.
see
Yeah.
why. I see why they hold on to
When
it,
did
man.
Was that?
when did the alternator go? When did the alternator go?
I want to say about 98,000.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, sounds about right. Look, man, that's why I always love Japanese engineering, man. Honda was the same way, you know, until they started producing some of the stuff they've been producing like in the last 10 years, man. I don't know, but
Yeah,
like
I
if you
think.
buy like a little Honda CVCT or like a Civic, a little Accord from like the 80s and stuff like that, and I still see those things on the road out here in California right now.
Yeah, I know people will get 200 out of those easy.
Easy. I've gotten actually I had an Integra that I got 200 out of. I had two Civics that one of them I got 180, one of them I got like 170, 180 out of those.
Well, I'm at 200 on my TL.
There you go. The Hondas do not break down, man. That's why I've always been a Honda fan. But
So
I stopped following Hondas or stopped really being interested in them because they lost me aesthetically, man. They became ugly.
mm. So what are they doing differently that other companies aren't? Like, how are they building their cars differently that gives out that many miles? And some other cars companies you buy start breaking down right away.
It's all in the engineering, man. It's all in the engineering. Like, you know, without fail, you can count on a Ford to start having major problems right at around the 90,000 mile mark. Without fail, whatever for whatever reason is, it might just be because of the engineering cycle that Ford uses, where they'd say, okay, well, look, we'd like our customers to be interested in looking into getting a new car every 4 years, right? So the car's going to run beautiful, and something major will happen. They'll just think to come back and just trade it in and get a new one. Hondas are like, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll create a car that runs 20 years with no problems. And because they run for so long, those people will tell other people that, oh man, I've had my car for 10 years, no problems. And they'll go get a Honda. So it's all in like how you view your market, what your approach is, right? Some companies want to sell cars more frequently. Others would like to just sell more cars to more people and have the cars last longer and have the reputation sell it. Potato, potato.
Yeah, I'll say the Hondas that I had, they didn't break down a lot, but if you're gonna compare them to a new, domestic car manufacturer, it does cost more. The parts cost more, but in the long term, it's probably cheaper because it doesn't break down as much as often. But the
I
parts
mean,
are expensive.
because what Honda did was they kept an integrated parts distribution. So what you can't do is you can't buy genuine Honda parts from like uh, Pep Boys. You can only buy genuine auto Honda parts from Honda, right? And what they do is they produce the parts from the same stock that they produce all of the components that go on the car itself. So there's no variance in the material, thickness and gaskets, all that kind of stuff. Versus when you buy something aftermarket, where you can't really truly verify unless you grab a caliper and you verify like the thickness of gaskets and all that type of stuff. All these things, you know, because from the factory, you know, the factory has its own internal um, QC and ISO and blueprint build standards, right? And then the aftermarket basically has just the ISO standards that it has to adhere to. So you could buy like a Chinese gasket, and that gasket may actually blow 20,000 miles before the genuine Honda gasket that you could have bought would blow. And largely that just has to do with the fact that in the engineering of it all, the gasket was maybe a few millimeters out of spec.
True. You just take
Sorry, man.
that's
I'm being
no
a
no no no. You hit it. You hit it because you can find ways. You know, you can get a part. You know, a part might cost you, the genuine part might cost you about $600, and then you go, okay, man, my car is over like 15 years. I don't need the genuine Honda part. I'll go on and get this other part, and I'm at that stage now. I don't buy the genuine part anymore.
I mean, look,
But
go
when I had it, you know, when it was early in its life cycle, oh yeah, man, I babied it, man. It had to have the genuine part. But once those cars get past, like, you know, 10 or 15 years for me, I'm trying to save the money.
Yeah, look, go and search for like some Arius or like nil pistons for your Honda, right? And
Hmm.
they'll probably be around like $700 for a set. And then go on eBay and find like some Chinese replacement pistons, right? And they'll probably be like $200.
Yeah, I had to replace what is it, a muffler? And it's like one piece, man, from the catalytic converter all the way back. That thing was expensive. So
Did you go
somebody
wait from the
so
Acura dealer or did you go to a muffler shop?
the genuine part is
Oh,
whether you go to the dealer or you go to somebody else, they're gonna order the genuine part. And it's very expensive. So I got the hookup. You know, somebody said, look, man, I'll take I'll take this piece, you know, from your existing pipe. I'll cut it right here. I'll solder it right there. Yada yada yada. Man, I said he said I'd do it for $200.
well, if all you had was like a damaged downpipe, or pipe, then yeah, that's all you would need. If the muffler was fine, but maybe you were getting a lot of noise because the pipe was punctured, so now you're getting exhaust leak. If that was all it was, then yeah, that's all he needed to do. Then was just like basically
Man, that was 6 years ago. I'm still rolling, no
still
problem.
rolling, no problem.
That's
He said, yeah, that's a hookup then right there, man.
a hookup, right?
Save some money, yeah.
I'm just sharing my screen to show a picture of my Volkswagen. It's a limited edition Beetle. It's a GSR version.
Yes,
So
sir, right.
I'm in winter mode setup right now, or at
Yeah,
least in that picture I'm in winter mode setup. It's no
right.
sign.
That's what I'm saying because those aren't the stock wheels on that. That's turbo, right?
Yeah, that's turbo.
Turbo. Yeah, that I've seen. Did you ever seen the race version of this one? The GT race car version of this?
Yes, that's what it's made after.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That thing is, man. I remember that was in an old version of Gran Turismo. They had that car in Gran Turismo back in the day.
Hmm.
I didn't know they made turbos like
No,
those.
but
I didn't know.
it's the GSR though, dude. Like that thing is kind of rare. You don't really see those around. I'm gonna find a picture of one. Hold
They
on.
only made 3,000. They only made 3,000 of them.
Mm.
Here, GSR. I'm gonna look up a picture of it.
I'm trying to see the specs on those.
So what's that? The Angry Beetle?
It's actually made after Transformers Bumblebee in 1977.
Mm.
The Super Beetle, the Angry Super Beetle. Is that
I
what they
only got one
call?
speeding ticket. Yeah, I only got one speeding ticket in it, but it definitely has a lot of balls to it because I have summer tires for it too, and they stick. So I took out a Subaru WRX on the highway. So
Man, they look at that Super Beetle and they go, "Damn, he's speeding." They go, "I don't believe
oh
it." And they let you go.
no, you confusing me with Rodney King. I ain't in the Hyundai. This is a different type of vehicle.
Like you see somebody speeding the old car, they're like, "Shit, congratulations."
Yeah.
Go
you're,
high
you're, you're,
five the guy. Go give him a high five. Don't give him a ticket. Shit.
you got manual, right?
You have to. They don't build manuals At least they don't send them over to the United States unless you or pre-order it. I bought this straight from the showroom, brand new.
Mhm.
So, no, this one's an automatic with the paddle shift.
Okay.
The
It's DSG. It's DSG.
DSG, that's what it is. DSG.
Yeah, so it's dual clutch.
Okay.
That's what most of like all those TCR race cars I was showing you. That's what they're all running.
Yeah.
All of those cars have paddle shift transmission.
Hmm. I'm looking for a car to replace this right now, though.
What are you thinking about?
I'm trying to stay around the 100K mark, so I looked at the Porsche. I think we talked about that earlier. I think they nickel and dime the crap out of you, so I won't be looking at those anymore. I did look at the NSX. I like the NSX to a certain extent. The only thing I don't like, it doesn't have a lift on the front because it's so low that it's going to scrape every time you get into the driveway.
Right.
So that's a part that I dislike, but it's still on my high list. And the other option was a used McLaren, so a McLaren maybe MP4 12C and a 570S, but the NSX walks both of those things. Well, it doesn't walk both of them, but it definitely takes out the 12C. But
Wow.
the 570, it'll have a hard time keeping up with that. But this isn't so much about speed. This is more about daily driving.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
share my
NXS is hard.
screen real quick. Hold on, because I found the picture of the GRC race car, the version of yours. I want to show the good folks here. I didn't know the NSX had the performance. I mean, I've seen it in GT action in racing. It's no joke, right? No joke. I guess my hang up on it. Wait a minute. No, thank you. You guys see this right here?
Yeah.
All right. And let me RC Beetle right there.
Mm.
Global Rallycross Beetle. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, that's all-wheel drive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But no, I mean in race trim, man. Yeah, the new NSX definitely. I'm just like just for the road though, man. That price tag. That's just one I can't. That's that pill I can't swallow.
Why
But
is that though?
if it's, I don't know. I guess I have a hang up with paying that kind of money for an Acura. You know, but maybe what I'm doing is like I'm really not looking at the car for what I need to look at the car as, and I'm more or less just associating the car with a Honda, right? And you know, when I know that, dude, like I had homies that used to take like a $5,000 like Civic beater, right? Just throw maybe like a $7,000 turbocharged race motor in it and go out and just kill Porsches, dude, in street races, right? So I'm always thinking of like Hondas as like some little cheap econo box I can just grab, slam a turbocharged motor in and go kick some ass in it. I'm not really thinking about it as an NSX. But I've watched it in action and it is a good car. So I need to maybe just kind of rethink my position on that car. I guess yeah, it's just when they came out with it and they were like 150K price tag, I was just like, wow, what? For a
Yeah,
Honda?
I think they were trying to change the image that you have when they came out with the NSX. I remember that's what they were trying to change. It doesn't sound like it worked. They were trying to change
Well,
the
at the
image.
time, it was competing against the Ferrari 348.
Mm-hmm.
So it was half the price of a Ferrari 348 and a 355. I want to say it was the Ferrari 355, and it was half it was 1/3 of the maintenance cost.
Yeah,
And
a lot cheaper.
yeah, and you can take it to any Honda dealership, and they would service it. So
Right.
you couldn't do that with Ferraris. Ferraris, you had to go specific to the dealership. You had to wait for the parts. You had to pay the Ferrari tax. You know, it leaked oil. It was smelly. Ferrari wasn't all what they said it was, right? It wasn't all what it was cracked up to be, and Honda pretty much annihilated them with the NSX.
Well, there we go. We go back to the whole reliability thing with Honda, because yeah, it's an NSX, but okay, but then again, my association, because it's a Honda. So you can go and grab an NSX, dude. You remember the old school NSXs from the early mid '90s? I mean, I knew dudes who were rolling around in those, and then they go to my boy's shop to do like a full on rebuild of their engines and everything. But they brought those things in there with 100,000 miles on them.
Hmm.
Like, put 100,000 miles on a Ferrari. Try it. I should say, try it. See if you get to 50.
Yeah, most Ferraris are garage queens anyway, so they kind of
Right.
you know.
Right. You can drive your NSX.
And that's what it was meant for. You can daily drive it.
Mm-hmm.
That was something you couldn't do with a
Right.
Ferrari or a Lamborghini for that matter too. Lamborghinis
Right.
were pretty crappy back then too.
So, I mean, I'll have to. You know what I need to do is I need to actually go to a dealer and just look at one up close. Give it
What?
an up close. Of the new NSX.
Oh, the thing's mind blowing, dude. It's mind
Mm.
blowing. It drives nuts. It's just a nuts car. It's definitely high on my list.
Okay.
But I'm looking at this right here in comparison. The only problem is that Trump's tariffs seem to have an effect on the value of these vehicles, which is the Lotus.
Oh, wait. In Lotus is Geely now, ain't it?
Yes.
That's
You got
why.
I was going to say, you got a video for that?
That's why. Damn.
What'd you say, Christian?
I was going to ask if you had a video of the Lotus. You got it.
It's right there. So wait. How much did it affect the price?
They were giving away the 400s the last few weeks, 25% off. So if you could find one, but it doesn't sound like they're going to be bringing in any more Lotus in the near future. So the import tax and yeah, it sounds to me like there's some stuff going on with these tariffs and things like that that's making it hard for them to bring it in. I've always been under the impression that it's such a small brand. Like, why should they be affected by regulations and things like that? Because side airbags, curtain airbags, stuff like that, they need to be in compliance with. And I don't think they actually are. But they're too small of a brand to have all those features installed.
Right. Now my buddy's actually, he's a Lotus dealer. He's Lotus, Aston Martin, Volvo, and I'm trying to remember what the other brand is. I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna see what's going on, because he works with the Galpin Group out here, which is like, I think they're like the largest Ford. I think they're like the largest like Ford dealer or distributor in the U.S. So it would be interesting to see if it's hit them to that extent where if I go over there, in 3 months from now, I won't see a Lotus anywhere on the lot anywhere. So I'll have to ask him about that.
I think you'll always see them for the most part, but the problem is the cost, right? So the cost is in line with a Porsche, and if you're going to spend that kind of money, you might as well just get a Porsche, which is what most people usually do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for me, I'm more of a purist, right? I like to just drive, and it doesn't really bother me about all the your gizmos and your widgets. So I can drive a Lotus without all the widgets and the gizmos and still enjoy it. But the problem is at that price point, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So the NSX is high on the list because it does everything that the Lotus can do, and it does it better. It's all-wheel drive because of the electric motors up front. So
Yeah.
and plus it's a hybrid EV. So
I'm gonna take a look at that NSX, man. I'm gonna go give it the eyeball. I'm gonna go check it out.
I'll stick with my Subaru. I'm good.
Well, I mean, I'm just purely from a sports car aficionado, you know, I don't want to get set in an opinion, right, and not actually like really look at it up close and take a look at it and see. Because I mean, look, man, I'm not saying that a Honda isn't capable of producing $100,000 or $150,000 car. I've always, again, just kind of viewed the NSX as that $80,000-$90,000 Honda entry. I never viewed it as like 150K. But it may very well be worth it.
But the NSX was 100K back then. It was 90K out the gate in the 90s.
90K. I mean, was it 50K? Like, I don't. What option was there at 50K? I don't even think the Type R. Remember, they did a short run, maybe like a year or two, where you could get the Type R, the NSX Type R, and I don't even think that one. I think that was like 120.
Right, relative to the cost of a Ferrari, though, right? When you talk about the NSX, you talk about it in reference to the cost of a Ferrari 348, 355, 360.
Right. Gotcha. When you compare and contrast the price, right?
Yeah, you have to keep looking at that because you can't look at it in an isolated bubble.
Right.
Because then you can't really justify it. But if you were the type of guy that says, I would love to have an Italian car, but I just can't afford it, the NSX actually gave you that experience.
Right.
It gave you that opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just look at it as like, oh, it's a Honda. No, well, like in comparison to these cars over here, yeah, if you can't afford that, you get this. Right. I got you.
And if you supercharged it too, there was a Como
Yeah,
Tech
they
supercharger,
did.
I think.
Comtech. The old
Comtech.
racing Comtech. Yep, they had a supercharger for it.
Right. Now, Christian, if you put enough stickers on your Subaru, it could actually go faster. Put like a K&N filter sticker.
All I did is my dojo name on there. My college I went to. That's the only stickers I got. Don't need any more.
Who's a Cobb Tuning? You're a Subaru tuner.
Yeah.
That's good for like 5 horsepower. Put one of the stickers on.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Do you have spinners on there too?
No. Still got the stock wheels. I'm not into like all the spinners and stuff.
Do you
at least put some armor all on it?
Yeah, I'll do that.
I mean, have you done any sort of like upgrade mods or anything like that, or are you largely just you need it for what you use it for? And again, I think the Outback I like the Outback. I've seen some that have actually been kind of kitted up a little bit to kind of do like maybe like rally type stuff, trail type driving, and they look pretty badass. So I like the Outbacks.
Haven't done no modding to it whatsoever. Bought it to from work, pick up some computer equipment, go to Kung Fu class every now and then, pick up some kids that I'm like mentoring. That's it. Gets me to and from, and I can fix most of the problems that's on it.
What do you guys think about the Mitsubishi Evo?
Classic. I think it's a classic car.
Yeah, I like those.
If you can still find one, I mean, they don't make them anymore, but and people who do hold on to them, they command a high price tag for them. So. Now, here's another one that's on my list as well. No, NSX be damn.
Yeah, Audis are well built cars.
Oh yeah, definitely well built cars. And this one is kind of like shares the same parts with the Lamborghini, so
Hmm.
you're getting a lot of Italian spices in there without with a little bit of German kraut.
I see what the specs are on those.
The specs on this,
Oh, it's the R8.
yeah, you get your V10, so shares the same V10 as the Lamborghini Huracan, but it's cheaper, significantly cheaper.
Now, oh, hold on. While you're showing this, I'm gonna dig up a video of the GT3 race car version of that.
Hmm.
And car top speed 199.
Yeah, the only problem is in most places in the United States you won't be hitting those speeds anytime soon.
Yeah, I was thinking like, where you gonna, hit that at 0 to
I could always
60
come
in
down.
3.7 seconds? That's a fast car, man. 0
Yeah,
to
I could always
60
come
in
down to Florida.
3.7. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
could
you
always come down
could.
to Florida and come 95 south.
Yeah, yeah. There's certain places you can go. You go a little, or you take a alligator alley.
Hmm.
It's all open road. But I think I look at the speed and I look at that body type. I'm like, you look at the Heron, right? It's more aerodynamic. That's more of a it doesn't look as aerodynamic to me, but it's running, man. It's fast. 532 horsepower. That's a mean car right there.
What are you referring to? The R8?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing as the Huracan. So the only thing
Yeah.
that's different is the body, the body panels is in itself. The engine is all the same. The brakes are all the same.
Mm.
Steering rack is all the same. You keep in mind that Audi owns Lamborghini, so
Now,
Mm.
you guys see this thing on the track. This is at Monza right here. This is the 2019 GT3 R8 right here. So, and the back straight on Monza coming out right here through God, I can't remember the name of that turn right there. And when it comes on to the straight, it's clipping about 178.
On that straight.
Well, on the back straight here, yeah, and then on the
Okay.
front straight, I know for certain. I've seen the 2018 R8s clipping that. Yeah, yeah, here we go through the parabolica down the front straight right here. And you'll see it come all the way down before it hits this real tight S at the end of the straight. So you're right about there. And there's the braking zones, and it's telling you to go turn right. When it hits into that braking zone, yeah, it's doing about 178 right there.
Mm. It's got handles. I would think that if it's going that fast, it'd be all over the
Well,
place. But it's just holding on.
no, this is the GT3 version, dude. Like this thing is kitted to be doing battle on track. This isn't
yeah, it's
well, okay. Porsche's GT3. This is why we love the GT3 because technically you throw some slicks on, and yeah, you put it into action. You might want to do a few more things, but right, like that's when you get to the GT3 level, man. Like, yeah, this is pretty much all out.
yeah, and it has four wheel drive too, and it has four wheel steering as well.
Yeah, and Mike, you notice you know what they did on the arrow? Look on their arrow bits, right? They threw the Parisian cow graphics on it, so like the competition can't really make out the characteristics of the arrow. When you put that kind of print
Right.
on it's hard to like make out the dimensions of it. Like they're out here testing, dude, and they throw that shit off because they know there's people peeping game. Watch when the car comes through here. See, they're out testing the arrow bits. So like the hood, the doors, and all that is the regular color of the car, but the arrow bits that they're testing, they slap like some camouflage graphics on it. So anybody who's out there spying can't really like make out what's on it or what it is.
Well, your camera can't get any focus on it either.
Right, exactly. Like serious shit. Yeah, you want to see it at speed, Jack? There you go, right there. There you go.
You know what races I like watching? The drift racing. I love those, man.
Drifting, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it. I like the real stuff, like the old school Japanese Togue videos, right? The competition stuff, it became, I don't know. There's a lot of skills required to do it. Don't get me wrong. But I like the old school Japanese Togue stuff. That's like drifting in its purest form.
Mm. Yeah, when it comes to racing, I like Formula racing. Like, I never been on a racetrack, right, and race a car. So, how difficult is it to race a car on a track? Like, when it comes to all these turns and whatnot. Like, I know obviously it takes skills, but have you guys ever been on a track before?
That's what I do, man.
Okay. So, what's the most difficult thing about racing, man? That you could think of, like, yeah, you gotta kind of like learn the track, right, before you really like race it, or it's just like, what's your thoughts on
I
racing?
mean, well, it's like it's like okay, well, you view it as a sport, right? Because that's what it is, right? So, um, every sport has the things that you need to be good at in order to be good at the sport itself. So with driving, it largely has to do with being able to see see ahead of what you're doing. Kind of almost like kind of uh, predictive measuring. Being physically fit so that you can have quick reaction times. So that means like muscle memory, training your reactive muscles. You're using different elements of like your physical anatomy, and then it's a lot of mental application too. So um, if those kind of challenges suit you, then I would say that racing is something that you could probably take to and be successful in. I don't really see any challenges. I mean, or anything that's like difficult about it. It's like with anything. If you want to get good at it, then you practice. You learn what you need to do to become good and become successful at it. Um, I'll show you like just some. I'll pull up a video in a second. I'll find some footage of me doing like some training, and I'll just kind of show you what was going through my mind when I did it. Oh, give me a second here. Let me pull it up. I got a whole bunch of racing vids on my channel and stuff. So, but it's something I've always kind of pushed motorsports as opposed to say like basketball and traditional type sports that we've always kind of pushed young black males to get into, because you're largely like steeping them into STEM vis-a-vis sport, right? So there's a, a whole lot of transference of skills and knowledge and things that they learn on track that they could actually apply to the workplace later on in life if you started them out young. So there's a multi-angled type of position that I take on, trying to push black males to get in, especially young kids, push them into motorsport through karting.
That's cool. Yeah, when I was growing up, my dad he actually took me to the what do you call those? I think it was called derbies when you hit the cars hit each other.
Like bumper cars.
I like that. That was because we had an auto body shop, so we used to, I was into that type of stuff. So, uh, but as far as a dirt track racing, but when it comes to like motors, where like as far as racing on the street, like these high performance cars, like I never because there's not really a track um where I'm at. It's more like NASCAR track, but I wasn't really into NASCAR like that. I was more into Formula racing and whatnot. So, but um,
No, well, what I always see, the thing is this, when we think about racing and stuff, typically you are going to think like cars and stuff, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to be that. This is why I kind of, I push karting because it's really what it is. It's the entry level form to motorsport, and it's the most affordable. So there's even within karting, right? There's levels to it because there's the expensive uh, aspects of karting too, depending on what levels you're getting into. Um, but at the very minimum, you could even do like the indoor stuff, and they have competitive leagues and stuff where you can go indoor and get good at that. I mean, that's like akin to doing like short track racing. Um, Now, let me see. Can you guys see this?
yeah,
Okay. So this was me doing a run right here indoors, and I did this run. That's my buddy Luke. So we do the Two Flags Racing channel. So we have another YouTube channel where we do a lot of racing stuff. Um, but in this run right here, I ran against this dude named Christian Brooks, and he's a global rallycross driver. And so he's behind me, and we took a run together because his family actually owns this facility. But a lot of people been wanting to see him and I like battle, like do a run, do a heat, and like see who comes out on top. So in this one, I clipped him. So, uh, but I'll show you kind of what's going through my mind here when I'm doing this type of stuff because I use indoor I use indoor karting for training, like a lot of dudes do. A couple buddy of mine that run Super Miata, and they run like a lot of like high performance class, race car type stuff. They do indoor karting just to stay sharp. It's like training, you know. So so let me see. I'll start at where the beginning of the track is because the first like lap or so we're kind of just getting up to speed. So here's where the time starts right here. And so basically your thought is that you're always looking ahead. So you want to look ahead to each apex that you're approaching before you get to it. So if you'll notice my head, I'm always looking at the turn ahead of me. My head turns first before I'm actually turning. You don't want to actually be looking into the turn. You want to look ahead and then turn into it while you're looking into the next turn. So you have to kind of train yourself how to see ahead. And what that enables you to do, it enables you to carry more speed. Because what happens is that your body reacts, but your eyes are already seeing ahead. So this is typically what you're doing. Now, in terms of how I'm taking the line, the common thought in racing, especially like in road course racing, is that the straightest line is going to produce the quickest course around the track. So going from turn to turn, and we'll start here. And this is where I ran the quickest lap of the day right here. So from apex to apex, you want to try to run the straightest line possible. So right there. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to hit the middle, take the middle of the cart and line it up with the middle of the apex. As long as you can, those are like your points. That's like point A to point B from apex to apex, and you run the straightest line, and you do it with the most speed possible. So now I'm coming into traffic right here. So what you do here is you find your gaps. When you're running in traffic, you find your gaps, right? And then you shoot your gaps right there and you carry your speed through, because what you'll do is you'll meet them at the apex, and then they have to give you the line. What you want to do is get the overlap. Overlap is when the front of your car basically extends past the rear of theirs. Once you have an overlap, that means you have the gap, you have the line. So in racing terminology, they have to give that to you because you have the overlap. That's how you prevent accidents. It's kind of like a rule in racing. So the way you ensure that you get that is you shoot the gaps. Now I'm gonna get real ballsy here. And this is my buddy Ken right here, so it was no problem. But I got a global rallycross driver following me. But I'm gonna shoot the gap right here. And he went wide on the turn, so I just took it.
So it's like you got to be kind of opportunistic on the track too.
I mean, you have to be aggressive, right? Because the way my philosophy in racing is chase down the person in front of you, and then pass them, and then chase down the next person. You don't worry about the people behind you. You chase down the people in front of you, right? I'm a very offensive minded driver. So this is somebody who didn't see that I had the overlap. And then this is somebody who's trying to drift in front of me. This is kind of what you deal with. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And he gives me the gap, and I just shoot it. So that's what I'm talking about, being aggressive. If you see the hole, take it. And after the hit, and I was just seeing if the camera was still on. But that's how that's how I drive, and that's always how you're always ensuring that you're running consistent lap times, is that you're always trying to find the person in front of you. You hawk his ass down and pass him. You don't worry about who's behind you. You go for the person in front of you, and you let the person behind you worry about passing you. So I'm not worried about that dude behind me. I'm hawking every person I run into. Hold on 1 second here. That's my phone there. But let me grab this real quick because I think that's my daughter getting in. But I'll mute. You guys can just kind of check this out here.
Okay,
I
I'm
actually wanted
impressed.
to show.
Go on, Mike.
No, I was just going to show the NSX because we were talking about it earlier, but we haven't displayed it on the Hangout yet. So I just wanted to display it real quick. So this is the NSX. Complex says that he doesn't really fancy it too much for its price, but I think you would be remiss if you did not actually test drive it. It's actually a very good vehicle. Something that's high on my list as well. So.
No, it was good. You say you test drove that already?
Yeah, I did that in the summer.
Okay. What did you open it up, or it was kind of like you had to drive it? Did you get a chance to like open it up on the freeway or whatever?
No, you can't really open up cars anymore. They won't let you do things like that. So if you open it up, you got to buy it. So.
Oh. Okay. Gotcha. So what was the fastest you were able to, did you what was the fastest you were able to go on it?
You're only doing about 65, 70 miles an hour, but for the most part, it drives like a it drives like a regular car, but the fit and finish of it makes it feel like a supercar, basically.
Yeah, it looks nice.
But it's glued to the road. Yeah, it's glued to the road.
What's this here, Mike? Hold on 1 second. Let me pull this back up. Sorry about that, man. My daughter was cheerleading and she's coming home here. This is okay. Yeah, that's it. That's the NSX.
Mm-hmm. It looks kind of like a Corvette. I don't know, that's a Corvette. Well, what is that? Which one is it? The back looks different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it takes a lot of cues from different cars. So like the
Yeah,
back of it looks like an R8.
I was
The
gonna say
front of
R.
it looks like a 488 or 458 Ferrari. The side it looks like a McLaren
Hmm.
with the vertical doors, the
That
hydro doors.
that color right there,
Yeah.
that angle, that silver. Now I like that. Like I said the
Is
race
that
version,
because
the GT3 version is just balls, dude. I love it, but but that looks nice. I like it. I like it.
it doesn't have any trunk space though?
What kind of engine is in this thing?
Six cylinder with the twin turbo,
Hmm.
and the electric motors give off the rest of the power.
Hmm.
That's a toy right there, man.
Yeah, it's high on my list. So once I get some garage space, I can actually make that final decision.
Yeah, see right there. I like that right there.
How's it sound?
Sounds
It doesn't
awesome.
have any sound. That's the funny. That's the funny thing about it. It doesn't have any sound.
Hmm.
Not in comparison to like a like a V8 or like from a Mustang, anything like that, or a Hellcat. It's
That's
not gonna
what
sound anything like that.
it
It's like
sounds awesome, dude. It's like because it's turbo, so it has a subdued sound.
Hmm.
I'll be at actually last Sunday, I was at Supercar Sunday. Porsche of Woodland Hills was there, and they revealed I forgot what car they did an unveiling of last Sunday, but I actually went live on my YouTube channel. So if anyone wants to check it out, man, it's like a video on there called Supercar Sunday. It looks super choppy because it was on my cell phone, but it was Porsche Day. So a lot of the cars that we've been talking about here this evening, well, I'll dig up the video and post a link in there. But a lot of the Porsches that were in there, we've been talking about a lot of Carreras, stuff like that. Um, so I've been at a Supercar Sunday where some dude just kind of drove through there and was kind of swooshing the throttle a little bit in neutral. And yeah, the sound on this thing is it's quite interesting because there isn't just like what Mike said, there's not a lot of sound to it.
I said we probably when we change gears and that turbo, blows out.
I mean, these
it
things.
has a blow off valve to
Yeah, I was gonna say it has a blow off valve, but Mike, maybe you could tell me, aren't you largely hearing that box engage? Like when you hear those, when you hear like a lot of these dudes like they launch on these Tektronic or these DSG boxes, man, it's like the most of the noise you're hearing is when that gear shifts.
it. None on the NSX because it's mostly the electric motors winding up and
Okay.
they pipe the noise through a tube into the car itself, so you hear most of that induction noise.
Okay.
So you're hearing a lot of that, but the car doesn't have a whole lot of it doesn't have a whole lot of audibility to it because it's kind of muted. It doesn't the box is the Porsche has more noise. Like if you hear a GT3, you know a GT3 when you hear one. But with the NSX, you don't really get that because it's not really meant for that.
Well, okay. Two things. One, a GT3 blew past me this morning in Santa Monica. It was like a sky blue one, man. It was amazing. Um, two, the second thing, now, if we're to kind of think like Honda or Acura engineers, it's actually kind of ingenious to do what you just said, right? To actually run like an induction pipe through the car, right? To sort of mute it. You know what I mean? They're kind of taking a different approach, like a different consideration to their car, right? They don't want it giving off all blaring noise and shit like that. They want it to be quiet and blow past you, not all loud and shit. You know what I mean? So, um, No. It's kind of like it's that ingenious Japanese engineering or that type of thinking behind their engineering.
Mhm.
Well, I think that's cool. It's just to me, what I like the most is just more the when the turbo. If you can just, it's like if it's quiet and then change gears, you know, it's like it gives that sleeper vibe to it, you know. That's what I like about that when it's quiet.
Like, have you ever seen like a Tesla like smash on somebody? Because I've seen it a few times where somebody was just like they wanted to give dude just a little taste, like at the light, and he just basically just stomped on the gas real quick, and the Tesla just you just hear this. It's like a whole different sound, dude, but it's badass because you just saw this car blow this Mustang away at the line,
Yep,
and
I like that.
didn't make a whole lot of noise doing it.
Yeah, like a sleeper.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to end the hangout now because I think we've overrun our time. So
Okay, okay.
um, thank you all for joining us. We will be back on Monday with Space and Technology, episode 87. Also, we are starting a contest for the next 30 days. If you know anybody who's into graphics and who can draw a logo for the Brain Trust, we would actually appreciate your submission and we'll reward you with some form of cryptocurrency or um, dollar reward. So you have until Thanksgiving to actually make a submission, or if you know anybody who can, who is artistic, send them our way and we will actually evaluate it.
Yes, sir.
So thank you all and have a good night.
Good night, y'all.